My name is Sarah, and this is the most painful, humiliating, yet ultimately empowering story of my life. It all started with one message, one picture, and a truth so cruel that I still feel my chest tighten when I remember that night. I had been with my boyfriend, Mark, for almost 5 years. 5 years of my life poured into a man I thought was my soulmate. We met as neighbors, became best friends, and slowly slipped into something deeper. At first, it was everything a girl dreams of. He made me laugh, stayed up late talking about the future, and swore I was the one, but like most fairy tales, the cracks started small. Mark was sensitive, almost too sensitive. Every little thing I said could be taken the wrong way. A harmless joke could spiral into an argument. If I mentioned something I wanted him to do better, he'd act like I had attacked his very soul. I kept telling myself, he's just different, maybe neurodivergent, maybe he just feels things deeply. And for 5 years, I convinced myself love meant patience. We had fights. We even broke up a couple of times. Never for more than a day. He'd always call back, crying, begging, swearing he couldn't live without me. I believed him, because I couldn't imagine a life without him either. Even when we did long distance for a year, he called me every single night, for hours, sometimes until sunrise. He made nerdy jokes, told me how he wasn't even interested in going out and meeting other women, because he was such a homebody. He'd literally laugh and say, I could never cheat. If I ever wanted to leave, I'd just tell you. And like a fool, I believed him. That's why when my best friend Julia sent me a message one evening while we were taking a break from playing our favorite online game, I almost didn't check it. Hey, isn't this your man? I clicked the photo. My hands went ice cold. My heart didn't just drop, it shattered. There he was, Mark, the man I loved for 5 years, wearing a tuxedo, standing next to a woman in a wedding dress. I stared at the screen, hoping my eyes were lying to me. Then Julia sent more, pictures of him holding a baby, pictures of him hugging her, kissing her forehead, looking like the happiest husband alive. I remember whispering, no, 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 this isn't real. But it was. The room started spinning. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I thought maybe I was dying. My boyfriend, my future, the man I trusted with everything, had gotten married to another woman, and I had no idea. I called him immediately. My hands were shaking so badly that I almost dropped my phone. When he picked up, he sounded normal, casual. Hey babe, what's up? My voice was trembling. Mark, what the hell is this? What do you mean? He asked. Calm as ever. I could hear his TV in the background, like nothing was wrong. Don't play dumb with me, I snapped. I saw the pictures, wedding pictures, with you, in a tux, with some woman in a white dress. There was silence. Then he repeated, flatly, what do you mean? I nearly screamed. Stop it. Don't you dare gaslight me right now. I saw you. I saw everything. Another pause. Then finally, he sighed. Okay, fine. And just like that, the truth started to unravel. He admitted that after one of our big arguments back in February, he decided I wasn't trustworthy. That's the word he used. Untrustworthy. So he started exploring other options. A friend introduced him to some woman. He didn't tell me her name, just said she was sweet and nice. Unlike me, he said they got serious fast. He said marrying her just made sense. And then he said the words that made my blood turn to fire. I was going to tell you. Eventually. Maybe when you moved here. I had been planning to relocate across the world to be closer to him. He was literally helping me figure out the logistics. Just the week before, he had been teasing me about how he wanted to look good for me when I arrived. I couldn't even process it. He wasn't just cheating. He had built an entire secret life. A wife, a child, a family, and still had the audacity to call me every day, whisper I miss you, and talk about our future together. When I broke down crying, do you know what he said? He blamed me. He said our conversations had been dry lately, that I treated him like shit, that I should have known our relationship was dying. And then, with a cruel little chuckle, he said, she's just nicer, easier to be around. At that point, something inside me snapped. I wasn't just heartbroken anymore. I was furious. I wanted to scream. I wanted to smash something, but instead, I just whispered into the phone, "You are going to regret this, Mark." He laughed, like it was a joke, but it wouldn't be a joke for long, because that was the night I decided, if he wanted to destroy my heart, I would destroy his world. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my phone clutched in my hand, Mark's smug voice echoing in my head. She's nicer, easier to be around. I was going to tell you eventually. I wanted to scream until my throat tore, but no matter how hard I cried, the ache in my chest wouldn't go away. 5 years. 5 years of loyalty, love, sacrifice. Thrown away like I was some placeholder until someone nicer came along. By sunrise, I looked like a ghost. My eyes were swollen, my lips dry, my hands trembling. Julia called me, begging me to come over. I could barely speak, but I nodded and forced myself out of bed. When I walked into her apartment, she wrapped me in her arms and whispered, "Sarah, I'm so sorry. He doesn't deserve you." I broke down again, sobbing against her shoulder like a child. But as we talked, something strange happened. Between my tears, anger started to boil, not just at Mark, but at myself. For 5 years, I excused his behavior. Every argument, every guilt trip, every moment, he made me feel like the problem. I let it slide, because I thought love meant patience. No, love is not patience when it's one-sided. Love is not loyalty when it's built on lies. That's when I started asking Julia for detail. Where did she find the photos? Who posted them? Could I get more? She pulled up her phone and showed me the account. It was the wedding photographer's business page. Apparently Mark's new wife had tagged him in a post, celebrating their beautiful day. My stomach churned. There she was, smiling, radiant, holding his hand like they were high school sweethearts. I zoomed in on Mark's face. That fake smile, that fake happiness. I thought about how, the very same week those photos were taken, he had been calling me every night, telling me how much he missed me. The bile rose in my throat. I barely made it to the bathroom before I vomited. But afterward, as I wiped my mouth, something inside me hardened. This wasn't just heartbreak anymore. This was war. The next few days were a blur of emotions. Mark still called me. Yes, like nothing had happened. He had the audacity to ask if I'd calmed down. He even said in this patronizing voice, "I mean, Sarah, you had to know this wasn't working. We were basically done." Done? I screamed into the phone. "You were literally talking about our future last week." He just sighed. "You're overreacting." That was his favorite phrase. "You're overreacting." He'd used it every time he hurt me, every time I caught him lying, every time he twisted things so I'd feel crazy. But now, I wasn't crazy. I had proof. And he had no idea what I was capable of. Julia and I started digging. We found his wife's Instagram. Her name was Melissa. She looked sweet. That was the worst part. She didn't look like some homewrecker. She looked kind, innocent. Maybe she really didn't know about me. But then Julia scrolled deeper and found it. A comment on one of the wedding posts. Someone had written, "Congrats, Mark finally settled down," and Melissa had replied with a smiley face and the words, "Yes, I know all about Sarah. He was honest with me." My heart stopped. She knew about me. She married him anyway. The betrayal doubled, not just from Mark, but from this woman I'd never even met. She had willingly stepped into my place, knowing she was helping him betray me. I thought my blood couldn't boil hotter, but it did. That night, I stared at the ceiling again, but this time I wasn't paralyzed. My mind was racing, planning. Mark thought he could juggle two lives. He thought he could make me disappear quietly while playing perfect husband. Melissa thought she won. She thought being nicer made her the prize. But they didn't realize who they were dealing with, because if there's one thing I've learned in 5 years of being gaslit, manipulated and betrayed, it's this: no one fights harder than a woman with nothing left to lose. I didn't know exactly how yet, but I knew I was going to expose them, both of them. And when I did, it wouldn't just break their marriage, it would shatter their entire world. The days after I learned the truth were a blur of pain and plotting. I barely ate. I barely slept. But my mind never stopped working. Mark thought I'd disappear quietly, that I'd cry, scream, and eventually fade into the background while he played house with Melissa. He didn't realize I wasn't going to walk away. I was going to burn his entire double life to the ground. The first step was information. I started small, combing through his old texts, old photos, even little comments he'd made that I used to ignore, and when I pieced them together, I realized something. Mark had been lying about a lot more than just Melissa. He always claimed he had money problems because of student loans, but as I scrolled through old conversations, I found screenshots he'd sent me of credit card bills, and the dates didn't add up. He had debts all right, just not from school. They were from gambling. My chest tightened. Suddenly, all those weekend trips with the guys made sense. I used to think he was just playing poker for fun. Nope, he was losing thousands. And here's the kicker: Melissa had no idea. At least, not from what I could tell on her Instagram. She was posting their dream honeymoon fund and saving for a house, and there he was, probably blowing money at a blackjack table. My lips curled into a smile. This was bigger than I thought. One of them, Dave, used to work with Mark. I asked him how Mark was doing these days. Dave laughed bitterly. Same old Mark. Always charming, always cutting corners. Honestly, I don't know how long his boss is gonna put up with him. Why? I asked. Dave lowered his voice. He's been skimming. Not huge amounts, but enough that if someone took a closer look, it'd get messy. My heart raced. Skimming? Gambling, debts, secret double life? Mark wasn't just a cheater, he was a walking time bomb. And now, I had matches. But I didn't want to strike too soon. No, I needed precision. So I started planting seeds. I made a fake Instagram account. Nothing flashy, just a girl next door vibe. And I followed Melissa, liked a few of her posts, commented something harmless like "love your dress, where'd you get it?" She responded. She thought I was just another friendly stranger. Good, I needed her to trust me. Meanwhile, I started saving everything. Screenshots of Mark's messages to me, screenshots of him flirting with me while he was married, screenshots of Melissa's posts, bragging about their perfect life. I organized it all into folders, because when the time came, I wasn't just going to tell people who Mark really was, I was going to show them. And then something happened that made my blood run cold, but also gave me the biggest weapon yet. One night, while scrolling through Melissa's Instagram stories, I saw a video of Mark at dinner. He looked tired, agitated. She was laughing, clinking her wine glass against his, but in the corner of the video, I saw his phone, and guess what flashed across the screen? Mine. He was still texting me, even while sitting across the table from his wife. I stared at my phone in disbelief. He had messaged me, "I miss you, things aren't the same without you." My hands shook with rage. Melissa thought she'd won. She didn't win anything. She was just another pawn in his sick little game. That's when I knew exactly what to do. Step 1, keep him talking. Step 2, gather more proof. Step 3, deliver everything to the one person who could destroy him completely. Not me, not Julia, not even his boss. No, the perfect person to ruin Mark's life was his brand new wife. And when I was done, she wouldn't just leave him, she'd make sure he had nothing left to fall back on. I had all the pieces, The lies, the debts, the proof that Mark was still chasing me even while married. But exposing him wasn't just about revenge anymore, it was about justice, about reclaiming the 5 years of my life that he stole. So I started small, very small. Through my fake Instagram, I messaged Melissa one night after she posted a story about their perfect date night. "So cute, you two make a great couple. Must be nice to have a husband who's so loyal." I sat back, smirking as I typed it. Subtle, just enough to plant a seed of doubt. She replied with a smiley face. But I knew it landed, because within a week, her posts shifted. Fewer perfect husband photos, more selfies. And then one morning, I woke up to a notification. Melissa had followed my fake account back. Hook, line, sinker. Meanwhile, I kept Mark on the line. He texted me constantly, like nothing had changed. "I can't stop thinking about you. She doesn't understand me like you do. I made a mistake, Sarah. I should have chosen you." Every time I read his words, I wanted to scream, but I forced myself to play along. Why? Because the more he admitted, the stronger my ammo became. I saved every message, every confession, every pathetic attempt to crawl back. And then, I took the next step, from a new anonymous one. Subject line: "You deserve to know." In the body, I dropped screenshots. Not everything, just enough to crack her world open. Him telling me he missed me, him saying she didn't understand him, him promising me that he'd fix things. I didn't sign the email. I didn't explain who I was. I just ended it with one sentence: "Ask your husband about Sarah." Then I hit send. The next 48 hours were electric. Mark's texts changed instantly. The sweet, needy messages vanished. In their place came frantic ones. "Sarah, did you say something to her? Don't do this. Don't ruin my life. I swear I was going to leave her for you." I laughed out loud. Leave her for me? He'd been with her for months before I even found out. Then came the angry ones. "You're crazy. You're obsessed with me. If you don't stop, you'll regret it." And then, silence. For days I heard nothing. Not from Mark, not from Melissa, until Julia called me out of the blue. "Sarah, have you seen his wife's Instagram?" I pulled it up instantly. Melissa had deleted almost every photo of Mark. The wedding pictures, gone. The honeymoon posts, gone. The perfect husband captions, wiped clean. My heart pounded. It was working, but I wasn't done. I still had the gambling proof, the work skimming, the years of gaslighting and manipulation, and now, I had Melissa's attention. So I sent her one more anonymous email, this time, with attachments, screenshots of his texts, photos of his gambling nights, evidence of his debt. I ended it with another single line: "This is the man you married." That night, Mark called me, not texted, called. His voice was ragged, furious. "You think you've won, Sarah? You're ruining my marriage." I let him scream. I let him call me names. And when he finally ran out of breath, I said one thing: "Mark, I'm not ruining anything. You did that all by yourself." Then I hung up. But the real victory came a week later. Julia and I were at a cafe, when she gasped and shoved her phone in my face. There it was, a Facebook status from Melissa herself. "Some people build relationships on lies. Some people gamble with money and hearts. I won't be part of it anymore." Underneath, her last name changed back to her maiden name. Mark's perfect little world was cracking wide open, and I was just getting started. Melissa's Facebook post was just the beginning. Mark's perfect marriage was collapsing. His wife knew. His friends were whispering. And me? I was sitting back, watching it all unfold like the season finale of a drama I'd waited years for. But I wasn't satisfied yet. Not even close. Mark had wasted 5 years of my life. He had lied, cheated, gaslit, humiliated me. If he thought losing his wife was the end of my revenge, he was dead wrong. I wanted to take everything. The first step was his job. Remember Dave, the ex-coworker who told me about Mark's skimming? Well, I reached out again. This time I wasn't subtle. I told him everything. The gambling, the debts, the fake marriage facade. Dave whistled low into the phone. You know, his boss already suspects something. If you dropped what you have, let's just say it wouldn't look good for Mark. So I did. I sent an anonymous email. This time to Mark's employer. I included screenshots, financial proof, and even a copy of a text where Mark admitted he was bleeding money at the casino. 2 weeks later, I heard the news through the grapevine. Mark had been let go. Strike one. Next was his reputation. Melissa may have deleted her wedding posts, but she hadn't gone fully public with the truth. So I gave her a little encouragement. From my anonymous account, I sent her the rest of the dirt. Screenshots of him begging me for sex while married. Voice messages of him calling her boring. Even a video Julia had recorded once, where Mark drunkenly bragged about how girls always come back to him. Melissa didn't just leave him quietly. She went nuclear. She posted a long, brutal message on Instagram. No names, but everyone who knew them could tell. Imagine marrying a man who lies, cheats, gambles away your savings, and begs his ex for attention. I feel sorry for anyone who ever trusted him. I won't be another victim. The comments exploded. Friends unfollowed him. People shared the post. Mark's little kingdom of loyal friends vanished overnight. Strike two. He sent me a message that said, "You'll regret this. You think you're better than me, Sarah. You're nothing without me." That was it, the last straw. So I crafted one final move. I compiled everything, every screenshot, every photo, every lie into a single folder. I labeled it, "The Truth About Mark." Then I sent it to his parents, his siblings, every single family member who had ever smiled at me at barbecues, thanking me for taking care of Mark. Within hours my phone lit up. Not from Mark. From his sister. "Sarah, thank you. We had no idea. I'm so sorry you went through this. Don't worry, he's not getting away with it anymore." And just like that, silence. Mark never called me again. His social media went dark. Word spread that Melissa had officially filed for divorce, that his parents had cut him off, that he was drowning in debt with no one left to bail him out. The man who once made me feel like I was too much, who mocked me, betrayed me, lied to my face while holding another woman's hand, was alone. And me? I wasn't broken anymore. I remember sitting on my balcony one night, sipping wine with Julia, watching the sunset. She looked at me with a grin. "So, do you feel better now?" I laughed. "Not bitter, not broken. Free, better. No, Julia. I feel unstoppable. Because here's the thing, Mark thought he destroyed me. But really, he built me. He taught me to never settle for lies. He taught me that love without respect is just a trap. And most importantly, he taught me that when someone underestimates you, they hand you the sharpest weapon of all, their downfall. And that's exactly what he got.